Use device. Can you hear now? Can you? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry for the issues with the microphone. There were some issues. Perhaps you are unable to hear that. We could fix it now. I'm sure all of you are able to hear now. Good. So, welcome to this discussion hour for the course uh, Professional Scientific Communication. Here we take up some of these questions that you have already posted on the portal, and then we will move on to some questions that you may, add in the chat box in the live session of the YouTube, page. Some of the questions uh, that are there, let me take up one after the other. The first question is it compulsory to quote reference in discussion part? Um, for any information that you are referring to, the origin of that information is from elsewhere, some other source. When you state that information, be it is the observation of some other group or the conclusions of some other group or the discussion of some of the groups, then you have to cite that paper. In other words, if you are writing about you know anything other than your own part, there has to be a reference. It could be on the raw data, it could be on the way the method was used, or you can say that very similar observations were made, or very similar conclusions were drawn uh, by other group. For all these statements, you have to put a reference, right? So that is, therefore, it depends on the context what you are saying, and if you are saying on your own something based on your results, then you don't need any reference because it is your claim. But if it is you are referring to something else for the data or conclusion, then you have to cite the reference. Then there is another question. It says that can you explain in short the concept of hypothesis? Um, in any discovery research, right? The way the research is done, normally what you do, you look at the observations that are already there, your own observations, preliminary observations, or observations made by other groups, and based on the some observations, you sort of conclude something. This conclusion may not be substantial conclusion having all the evidences for that, but that makes a very attractive conclusion, and that is what you propose as an hypothesis. Okay, the hypothesis is something that you can test. So the reason why you have to propose an hypothesis is that you propose an hypothesis that is attractive, which is compelling based on the preliminary results that you have, and then test the hypothesis using appropriate methods. So that's why the hypothesis is very important. For example, you know uh, every time I see somebody, I fall down. So my hypothesis is that if I see that person, I'm likely to fall down. Now, how would you test that? It can be tested, so you can come up with an approach. Right? That is what the hypothesis is. So that really helps us to come up with questions, or what you call as objectives, and to test. So the hypothesis becomes a kind of substantiated knowledge if you can prove that is correct, or if hypothesis proven wrong, then the hypothesis ends there, right? But you certainly the observations that you have got because of testing that hypothesis leads to some new knowledge, right? So that's what the hypothesis is. What is originality in research? Originality is something that you have done it which no one else has done. At least that is not available in the literature. That is called as original research. So you are asking certain questions for which there is no answer exists in the literature, right? That is called as original research. If you are trying to reproduce somebody's work, right, that is not called as original research. Sometimes you certainly do that. It is not that you should not redo an experiment that was done by someone else. That is normally done. That is why it's called as research. You do it again and again. At times, you do that because for you to extend the knowledge. First, you have to do this experiment, and then you add few more experiments to build on that story. So you at times you do reproduce somebody else's data. If you are able to reproduce, that is great. But then you have to build on that. So the the first part, that wherein you reproduce somebody else's data by doing the same kind of experiments, is not considered as original research, but that may form a basis for the original research that you will do by extending these experiments. So that is all the questions that we have. Um, Other than that, I don't see any other question. I hope that all of you who are attending this course finding it useful. Um, there aren't many such courses available. You may not find books that are written on that. So, so our hope is that the course is of some help to all of you. So, if you have any queries, you can write. We'll wait for another 5 minutes or so. Okay, then I think it's nice interacting with all of you, and all the best for the exams as well. The exams will come soon, and wish you all good luck.